ask for a more beautiful weather night than we have in downtown Cincinnati? No would be the answer. Interleague play continues. Game 2. In the battle for the Ohio Cup, the Reds came away winners last night against their in-state rivals, the Cleveland Indians. And hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. Reds got a great effort from starter Johnny Cueto, complete Game 6 hitter last night. And now the guy they really need to begin to kick it into gear, Chris, the big offseason acquisition in their rotation who starts tonight, Matt Latos.
Well, you're right about that, Tom, because when they acquired Matt Latos, they thought Johnny Cueto #1, Matt Latos #1A, and so far he's not been 1A, except for a couple of times out. Did not do all that bad his last time out. You see what he's done in his last 4 starts, 2-0, although not deep into the ball games like the Reds would like him to see. You know, he's, I think, a fly ball pitcher, and he's had some difficulty getting used to this ballpark. This is a ballpark that gives up so many cheap home runs, and Latos got off to a very bad start on the year, and then since April, he's gotten really together a little bit better with a 3-0 record. The exact opposite is his counterpart tonight, Derek Lowe. Derek Lowe got off to a terrific month of April, 4-1, and then he struggled 2 of his last 3 starts. In fact, the Tigers got him for 7 runs in his last start. So a good sinker ball pitcher in Derek Lowe and a high fastball pitcher in Matt Latos. We'll see which of these big, tall, power right-handers ends up on top tonight.
And I guess like any sinker baller, Chris, when Derek Lowe has a sinker baller working, he's outstanding. If he gets up in the zone, he will get hit. And we know this ballpark, there's a lot of home run hitting going on. There were 4 more hit in the game last night. And we'll talk more about the home run ball here in Cincinnati when we come back. Thompson Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drain Cleaning. And what about the rest of the night weather-wise?
Another great night for a Reds win. The weather will cooperate. Mostly sunny skies by the beginning of the game. 76 degrees, 73 by the 7th inning. Clear skies, upper 60s by the end of the game. For Fox Sports Ohio, I'm Local 12 meteorologist Michelle Boudelet.
Michelle, thank you. In tonight's game, we're participating in the Home Run Challenge. Every home run hit in this game raises $14,000 for prostate cancer research. You can make a pledge by calling 1-800-798-CURE. That's 2873. Or by going online to pcf.org. And any donation is much appreciated leading up to Father's Day on Sunday. 4 home runs in the last 2 games here, Chris Welsh, for the Redlegs, looking for more tonight.
Well, it gives them up here. You know, that ballpark will give up a lot of home runs. Of course, when Devin Mesoraco hits them, they stay hit. He's a big, strong kid. But for the most part, you've got to make sure that you still pitch very tough in his ballpark and keep the ball down. It bothers some pitchers. It doesn't seem to bother guys like Johnny Cueto. It does help Joey Votto, obviously, being able to go the other way and be dangerous every time he comes to the plate. There's a consecutive home runs in the ballpark where the Reds stand. 57 of them in a row right here at Great American Ballpark. Camden Yards, that's a small box too. And the ball jumps out of there as well as the other ones. But 57 in a row, one ballpark, I'll tell you what, it makes pitching coaches grow gray hair prematurely.
Even old left-handers grow gray hair prematurely.
Just thinking about giving up home runs.
All right, Joey, Brandon, Todd Frazier and company trying to make it back-to-back wins over the Tribe. First pitch next on Fox Sports Ohio. Sports Ohio brought to you by the 2012 Ford F-150 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. By Cincinnati USA, let us be your travel guide to Cincinnati. Visit CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili, game time is Skyline time. Stop by your favorite Skyline Chili tonight. Crowd rolling into Great American Ballpark on a picture-perfect early summer Wednesday night. Take a look at Maniaca's starting lineup presented by AXA Advisors. Same group we saw here last night. Chu, Cabrera, Kipnis. Santana, the cleanup hitter. Brantley in center with Johnny Damon in left, and a latter third of Kochman, Chisenhall, and right-hander Derek Lowe. is on the mound, and our Jose Cuervo pitching numbers on Reds right-hander Matt Latos.
Matt Latos would love to be able to build on what he's done over those last 4 starts. He's 2-0 over those last starts. The Reds have gotten him some runs, but he's a guy that when you follow Johnny Cueto, the bar of expectation is rather high because Cueto goes out and pitches like a top of the rotation guy, and that's what they expect out of Matt Latos. He's got the stuff, there's no question about it. Fastball, mid-90s, good slider, swing and miss slider. The problem that the Indians present to Latos, however, is the fact that they don't chase a lot of pitches. They will really work the count, and he's going to have to concentrate on getting ahead of the hitters so that they will have to swing the bat and get themselves out. Otherwise, they will wear him out, pitching around the outside of the strike zone, nibbling a little bit here and there. That doesn't work against this lineup.
And of course, that has been one of the real factors in Latos not piling up the innings so far this year and pitching deep into games. We've seen a number of starts where he's in the 5th inning, Chris, right around 100 pitches in the game.
Well, you're right, and you really want to stay much more efficient than that because the bullpen, of course, the reason you don't have a lot of wins if you're Matt Latos is because you're not getting into the 8th inning enough.
Well, here we go. Shin-Soo Choo to lead it off. He looks at a fastball. Steve right one, and this one underway at Great American Ballpark. 81 degrees, virtually 0 humidity, and virtually no wind. It is just a perfect night. Quickly 0-2 to Choo. He led off the game last night on a 2-strike pitch by hitting a double down the left field line, and 2 batters later scored what turned out to be the only Cleveland run of the game on a single by Jason Kipnis against Johnny Cueto. Did he go around? No on the appeal. Paul Nowert calls the balls and strikes. Down at third is Kerwin Danley. Alan Porter at second, and Dana DeMuth the umpire at first. Two and two on Choo, to be followed by Asdrubal Cabrera and Jason Kipnis. Friday night was the last outing for Latos. Victim of a blown save in the 10th inning. 6-5 win for the Reds. Went 6 1/3, allowed 7 hits and 3 earned runs, and he fans Choo to begin the game.
Well, this is the swing and miss slider that we're talking about. It's got great depth. That means it goes almost straight down. And Choo, who's a guy who will strike out a little bit, but he still's a very good on-base percentage guy, and Latos goes out and gets him early on. You use all your pitches early on, and that's a good way to get it going.
So now Asdrubal Cabrera, .291 batter, 5 home runs and 25 runs batted in. Cabrera hitless night last night, 4 times, grounded out to the right side of the infield. The Indians lost a game in the American League Central Division standings by losing here while the White Sox were beating the Cardinals. So the Tribe go into play tonight, 4 games over 500 and a game and a half back of the White Sox. Straight up in the air, short left field, a second straight start tonight for Wilson Valdez. Let's take a look at the Reds defense presented by your Ford dealers. The exact same position group we saw here in the opener. Still no Drew Stubbs. He's been out over a week and still not on the disabled list. Frazier, Valdez, Phillips, and Votto along the infield. Latos and Ryan Hannigan to battery. 2 out, nobody on, and here's Kipnis. Talked about Kipnis last night. He made his major league debut last July and really struggled. Then in the month of August, he hit nearly .350. And almost 50% of the hits he had after being brought up last year were for extra bases. And this year already 10 home runs. Latos, a perfect first inning. Reds are coming up.
form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
All right, Reds coming to bat, bottom half of the first inning. Dusty Baker's starting lineup tonight, presented by AXA Advisors. And again, the same group we saw here in the series opener, which was a win over the Indians last night. Heisey, Valdez, Votto, Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce, Todd Frazier. The latter third of Brian Ludwig, Ryan Hannigan, and Matt Latos. They made the deal for Derek Lowe. Brought him in from Atlanta after a very disappointing 2011, but our Jose Cuervo stats tell you he's had a pretty good year in his first year with the Indians.
Well, he's had a pretty good career, too. He's 39 years old. A lot of people scratch their head when they made a trade for him, but he's a guy that is still very serviceable. Two-time All-Star, sinks the ball, sinks the ball, sinks the ball. Loves to live down the strike zone, change speeds, and get that ball on the ground.
At the knees to Heisey, 1-1. A 270 batter is Chris. 1 home run, 12 runs knocked in.
I guess the mantra that Brooke Jacoby, the hitting coach for the Reds, have said to all the hitters on this Reds lineup, just make him get the ball up. Don't swing at that stuff that looks like it's at the knees because it ends up around the ankles. But when he gets that low strike zone like Paul Mauer just called him, that is really going to help him if he stays with it.
Lowe has done virtually everything you could ask from a pitcher in his major league career as he fans Heisey to begin the game. I mean, bear in mind, he is one of only 3 pitchers in the history of the game with over 160 wins and over 80 saves. If you're wondering who the other 2 are, there's Dennis Eckersley, who came up originally with the Indians as a starter, and fellow Michigan native John Smoltz. A very good night here for the shortstop, Wilson Valdez. He had 3 hits, scored a run, knocked in a run. Starting in place of the ill Zach Cozart. That flu bug is floating around that Cincinnati Reds clubhouse. Valdez draws a 1-out walk. Take a look at the Indians defensively, presented by your Ford dealers. Brantley flanked by Damon and Chu. Kipnis and Cabrera up the middle with Chisenhall and Casey Kochman on the corners. Derek Lowe and Carlos Santana. The battery, and here's Joey Votto.
Well, Derek Lowe must be thinking about himself. What am I doing? Why am I walking Wilson Valdez on 4 pitches so I can face Joey Votto with a man on?
Votto rolls over the first pitch, and that is an easy out.
Well, maybe that's why. You know, Lowe throws the kind of sinking fastball that, you know, he's a big guy, 6 feet 6 inches tall, and he throws a good downward plane, and he throws that kind of pitch. It looks like you may be right on it. At the last second, it just dies on you. And Joey pulled off that a little bit, but a lot of that was the action of that fastball by Derek Lowe. He's been throwing that for years and years. 16 seasons in the major leagues.
Well, he's piled up over 2,500 innings pitched, the 166 wins. He's never been on the disabled list. Brandon Phillips at 274, 6 home runs, 31 runs batted in. He takes strike 1.
In fact, Derek Lowe was a teammate of Bronson Arroyo when they both played for the Boston Red Sox. Both of those guys got very close, and you know, they both would brag to each other about essentially never missing a start, always being healthy. Neither of those right-handers are exceptionally hard throwers, but both of these guys have lasted a long time in the major leagues.
You know, it really gives you an idea. We talk about it all the time, Chris, about what an outstanding career Arroyo has had. Bronson closing in on 120 career wins, and to think that Derek Lowe has 46 more than that number.
Yeah.
And spent a couple of seasons, as we mentioned earlier, pitching out of the bullpen. First one of the night out there at second base with 2 outs here in the last of the first inning, and it's 0-2 on Brandon Phillips. It's funny how your expectations change before maybe you get a guy, and then what happens after you get a guy. The Indians felt like when they made the deal for Lowe, they were bringing in, Chris, you brought up earlier, their number 5 starter. But here you are 2 months into the year. He's got 7 wins on ERA, just a little bit above 3.5, and that's almost exclusively due to 2 bad starts, where he gave up 15 runs in 2 games.
Well, he is of those 12 starts, he has 11 decisions. So that's a guy that stays in the ball game a long time. I mean, he goes out there, takes the ball, and says, I'm either going to win it or I'm going to lose it.
3-2 now on Phillips. Well, you know, case in point now, if you're an Indians fan and here you are a game and a half in front, well, the expectation level has changed dramatically about what you believe you should get from Derek Lowe every 5 days as opposed to when this season began.
Yeah, I think that ditto that for the entire ball club.
3-2 to Brandon. And it's back up the middle, and it's into center field, and the Reds are going to jump in front on a 2-out single by Brandon Phillips. It's 1-0.
That's the kind of patient at bat that you just love to see Brandon Phillips take. You know, you live by the ground ball, die by the ground ball. He takes it right back through the box. Little overspin on that ball, gets it in there, and a 2-out ribeye. Nothing tastier than that.
Well, now Jay Bruce, and first pitch swinging, a lazy little pop-up to the left side of the infield, and that'll end the inning. But Phillips delivers, and the Reds lead 1-0. Connote serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio. The home and road numbers for Matt Latos.
Yeah, a lot of
I think that's a surprise.
I think a lot of people would be surprised by this. Of course, Matt Latos is a fly ball pitcher. He only gets about 49% ground balls. That puts him definitely as a fly ball pitcher. But in this ballpark, he still has a 3-1 record, better than he has on the road, earned run average wise. I'm just interested to see Latos now through the rest of the summer get warmed up. Sometimes it takes these big guys who throw hard a little bit longer to get into their groove and really find their fastball. He had a very good first inning. I like the way he's jumping out with early strikes.
Strike one to Carlos Santana, be followed by Michael Brantley and then Johnny Damon here in the Cleveland second inning. Reds got a 2-out single by Brandon Phillips to take advantage of a 1-out walk to Wilson Valdez to plate the first run of the night. 0-2.
Boy, good changeup right there. Looks like tonight Latos has a good curveball. He throws out about 80 miles an hour. That last pitch was an 84-mile-an-hour changeup. Really effective to a left-handed hitter.
Santana coming off a big-time season a year ago. And that is strike three called.
It's the old dewdrop in right here. I mean, he drops that curveball on the outer part of the plate. See you later. You see the hitch as Carlos Santana just can't pull the trigger on that ball. You know, when you throw 95 and you can throw that pitch in there, boy, it's hard to cheat.
So now Michael Brantley, he is the hottest hitter in this Cleveland lineup coming into the game tonight. In fact, he has a hit in 19 straight games, and during the 19-game hitting streak has been better than a .350 batter. It's the fourth longest overall hit streak in the major league so far this year. There have been 3 20-game hit streaks, so if Brantley gets one here tonight, he'll be tied for the longest such streak in the game so far in 2012. See, Adam Jones has hit in 20 consecutive games. That's the longest in the American League, and there have been a pair of 20-gamers in the National League. Fouled away. If you're wondering, by the way, who had the 20-game hit streak so far this season in the National League, 2 of them are San Francisco Giants, and that is not a team that you think of when you think of offense. Angel Pagan has done it. Probably not a real surprise that Pablo Sandoval has also done it. Speaking of that Giant team, you know, we saw them a little bit earlier this season, Chris, and they weren't doing much, but all of a sudden that club has climbed 8 games over the 500 mark, only 4.5 behind the Dodgers now.
That'll make that race very interesting. The Dodgers coming back to earth after really getting off to a big start.
Off the end of the bat, and Bruce will run it down in short right. Well, we invite you to be a part of the largest ever gathering of current and past Reds at the Hall of Fame induction gala Sunday, June the 24th. All the Reds will be there, this year's team, and over 20 Hall of Famers, as they will honor Sean Casey, Dan Dreesen, and others. For tickets, call to the 2012 Reds Hall of Fame induction gala. 765-7921 or visit redsmuseum.org. That is an unbelievable night, and I promise you, if you decide to buy a ticket and come down, you will enjoy it. Latos getting ahead of everybody so far. 0-2 to Johnny Damon.
And he's not getting ahead of them with lots of different types of pitches. Not just firing fastballs in there.
Oh, and 2 now to Damon. On the ground down to third. 18 of his first 23 pitches have been for strikes. 6 up, 6 down. Cold one. Look forward to Miller time later in our game. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Reds lead 1-0. Todd Frazier starts things, and he stings this one right at the center fielder, Brantley. Wow, that ball was smoked. Well, he really got to hit one to get that Toyota sign, but if a Reds player hits it tonight, Bonita House from Owenston, Kentucky will win the beautiful new Tundra, and you can register for your chance to win in an upcoming game. Just stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer.
Well, not a lot of the Reds have had all that much success with Derek Lowe, but the hitter stepping into the plate right now, Ryan Ludwig, has had his way with him. A .474 batting average. He's hit 4 home runs off of him. 10 knocked in his career, so hopefully he'll still see the ball well off of this tough right-hander.
Nothing at 2. Well, the Reds gained ground on the 2 teams closest to them in the Central Division with a win here last night. Pirates lost in Baltimore. By the way, Baltimore an early 1-0 lead at the end of an inning tonight. Cardinals lost to the White Sox. Milwaukee also lost. Brewers only 5.5 back, despite being 5 games under the 500 mark.
Got all of his track work in today. Johnny Cueto did. Now you sit back and savor the day after.
Struck him out, and that's a second out here in the second inning, and the second strikeout tonight for Derek Lowe.
Now let's take a look at this at bat brought to you by Mazda, our pitch-by-pitch look at Derek Lowe versus Ryan Ludwig. First pitch, just a little fastball outside. He fouls it off, but he's going to keep that cutter on him, trying to stay away from Ryan Ludwig. Bounces it in the dirt, staying downstairs right now, and eventually just takes a little bit off that pitch and gets Ludwig to swing and miss. But it was pretty simple the way that Lowe went about him, just trying to stay away and then stay down.
Hannigan at 287 with a home run and 6 runs batted in. And jumps ahead in the count. 2 balls and no strikes. Be a short turnaround tomorrow, an afternoon affair. 12:35 first pitch. And by the way, we will have the game for you on television. But why not come down to the ballpark? Temperatures again tomorrow expected to be in the low 80s. Bright sunshine. Josh Tomlin will start it for the Indians. Mike Leake gets the ball for the Reds. And the Reds will get out of here, ending this 9-game homestand. And they'll go to New York again, where they spent 5 days earlier this season already. A second go-round with the Mets over the weekend, and then face these Indians in Cleveland the start of next week. It's hard to believe on the next homestand it'll be the first time all year long in the final week of June that the Milwaukee Brewers will be coming to Cincinnati. Thought it was late that the Pirates came in that first week of June. Brewers haven't been here yet. That means the Reds will see a pile of the Brewers over the back half of the season. There's ball 4 to Hannigan. Second walk issued by Derek Lowe, and it allows Latos to bat here in the second.
Well, both of those walks that Derek Lowe has given up have been really, for him, unfortunate time. One right before Joey Votto. He walks Wilson Valdez, a backup utility player, and here he walks a number 8 hitter, only to bring the pitcher up here with 2 outs. So it works to the Reds' advantage to get Hannigan on base and get Latos to the batter's box in this inning. Last thing you really ever want to do is lead the inning off with your pitcher.
Nothing at 2 on Latos. 1 hit in 17 at bats so far this season. Strike 3, and that'll retire the side. 1 man left. We move to the third. Reds in front of the Indians, 1-0. Powerball jackpot up to $240 million. And the drawing is coming your way later tonight at 11 o'clock. I don't know if they give that kind of money away at the Kentucky Motor Speedway, but Kyle Busch, it is a pleasure to have you with us here tonight.
I appreciate it. No, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And you're coming off a win here last year in Kentucky, right?
Yep, that's right.
And I was asking you, you've actually won a number of times here at Kentucky Speedway.
I have. I've won from when I was just 18 at the ARCA Series to the Truck Series, Nationwide Series, and the Cup Series. So the first track that I've ever been able to win in all 4 of those divisions. I've got wins at other racetracks where I've won Truck, Nationwide, and Cup, but not one where I've got an ARCA win in, too.
Very, very nice.
So what is it about that track that is it good luck, or is it something you know about that track?
I'm just a bad kid down there.
All right, I like that. Bad Kentucky boy.
That's right. I just take it to the house whenever we go to Kentucky. So,
nice.
No, it's a fun racetrack. You know, you definitely got to have a lot of communication with your crew chief because the track surface is a little bit older and, you know, it's a bit bumpy and everything else. So it's a lot of fun in order to go over there and race and to beat up on all the rest of the competitors.
Well, the voice you're hearing is Kyle Busch, who's kind enough to join us and talk a little bit about June the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th over at Kentucky Speedway. Quaker Stake 400 weekend. Thursday, they'll have the Truck Series and Nationwide Series on Friday. Sprint Cup Series will be on Saturday. Now, last year, look, you lay it on the line because I think it certainly is worth mentioning for the folks out of Kentucky. Everybody knows about some of the traffic problems they had out there last year. And they have worked so hard to create now a 7-lane road, 30,000 additional parking spaces to get ready for the race this year. As a driver, were you aware at all of some of the things that were going on last year?
Yeah, you start hearing about it. You get the rumblings through the garage area and stuff like that. You know, it's tough to be in that situation when it's happening like that. You know, certainly we wanted to have a huge impact and a positive impact on Kentucky Speedway and everything that was going on built around that race with the inaugural Sprint Cup race, and that took a little bit away from it. But overall, you know what, I'm gonna give the credit where it's due, and the Kentucky Speedway has done a phenomenal job since that race a year ago to really prepare and put themselves in the right position this time around with the state and everything else, and getting roads made out there and getting the exits all done up right and everything. So the parking lots, and they've got a new pedestrian tunnel from the parking lots that take you through and underneath 35 with trams and everything else. Nice. So they'll have tram services running around and being able to make sure that they can get 120 strong into that place again this year.
Strikeout of Kochman for Latos to begin the 3rd inning. That's 3 strikeouts.
Kyle, I got to tell you, I live down in Kentucky, not too far from the Speedway, actually. And when we made it know that you were going to come up here, my phone's been blowing up. And there's some questions that these guys want. Number one, how'd you get number 18? And this is kind of corny, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Your favorite color M&M is?
Red. Red.
There it is. Why not, right?
Yeah,
why not?
It's a good answer for this ballpark.
I hear you. Yeah, that's not why I said it, though. But, no, the red M&M, see, I got this saying where, you know, he's kind of got that edgy, hard shell, but he's got a soft, sweet inside.
Nice.
So,
nice.
yeah.
Very nice.
You know, that's kind of cheesy, but, you know, he'll have some of that sometimes.
And why number 18?
Oh, yeah. Just the number 18's been the number from Joe Gibbs Racing's Nationwide and Cup teams that he's had for a long time. So I think it just comes from Joe's football background.
Now, I know you'll be racing, what, in Michigan this weekend?
Yeah, we head to Michigan this weekend. Fresh asphalt up there, so speeds are going to be very fast. We're going to be at 218 miles an hour getting down into turn 1 with a 3,400-pound stock car. So certainly it's going to get your attention.
You know, we see a lot of baseball families, guys that have come through the years. They grew up, watched their dad playing Major League Baseball. I know your dad was a driver, won a number of times during his career. You get asked this all the time. I mean, did you know right away that's what you wanted to do?
I was probably, I'd say, 10 years old. I was getting a lot more interested in it and kind of feeling it out. I was already working on my brother's race cars and stuff. I don't know if you want to call that.
No, don't worry about it. Space it. Go ahead. You got it. You can handle it. You're a baseball guy. You said you're a baseball fan.
I'm a baseball fan. My brother, he's a huge Cub fan, so I'm just a baseball fan. I'll go to anywhere. I'll see anybody play and all that stuff. So I like seeing the game. I was a kid and played Little League baseball all the time, so I enjoy it. I was mostly behind home plate being the catcher, so that was my favorite position to play. No, I mean, growing up, so I was playing baseball, and kind of leads into the right thing there, but I got interested in racing more and more, working on cars, stuff like that. Got about 12, 13, that's when I first got behind the wheel and actually started racing, and just took to it right away and wasn't too terrible at it, so I kept going, kept getting better, winning a lot of races, moving up in different divisions, and kept getting the opportunity to move along.
All right, for those young guys that are out there that may want to get in, or girls may want to get into racing, what are the skills necessary? We always talk about the skill set necessary to be a baseball player. What do you need to be a good car racer?
There's a lot. I think there's a lot of different things. I think you've got to have good hand-eye coordination. You got to have good feel. I think feel's a big part of it. Not necessarily feeling the steering wheel in your hands or feeling the pedals on your feet, but through your butt, sitting in that seat and feeling the car moving around, feeling the bumps that you feel, feeling the tire slip a little bit, whether it's lateral, you're going through the corner and the car wants to get a little sideways or whatever. But having good vision out the windshield and predictability, being able to watch and see what's going to happen next and predict your move, where you're going to take your car. And, fear factor. Fear factor kind of sets in, too. You can't have that pucker factor. You gotta go out there and you got to dig. You got to dig hard, man. You can't be scared.
That's what I was going to ask you next. We sit there, and on television, it certainly doesn't do it justice. When you're there, it certainly does. But the speeds, as they continue to be what they are and go where they are, and the tracks and all the technology and the sophistication, is that one just missed? 2-2 are you ever scared out there, or you just cannot be under any circumstances?
There's times where you've got a little bit in you, where you're right on edge of knowing that whether you're in control or out of control. So when I was growing up, there's a lot more times where I was scared, not really understanding all about it. But once you get older and get the feel for it, you got another base hit. How about that?
Nice shot.
All right.
You know what? You want me to drive in Michigan?
It's the wrong team, though. We're not cheering. We're not cheering for that team. We're at Red Stadium.
That's
right. It's fun that I don't even remember what we were talking about now. Do you?
Yeah, you're talking about the fear factor.
Oh yeah. So just being able to throw that in the back of your mind and not being scared, I think, is what it's all about. But we had a test down in Michigan. I don't know, it was like 2 months ago or something like that, and we were going 218 miles an hour, and you felt it. I mean, you're booking 218 down a straightaway, and then you're still carrying 180 through the corner. So you're not slowing down a whole lot. And, you definitely know and understand. You're like, man, if that right front tire gives out, or if I miss my line just a little bit, it's not going to be a comfortable ride.
A man here.
I know you were going down this road. I knew you were going down this road.
He's become, personal friends with a lot of Ohio State troopers.
Yeah.
Maybe you could give him a couple of tips.
And other states, I might add.
Well, I need some help in North Carolina if you got anybody down there.
No, I don't.
No, that's a shame. But no, I don't think I'm up for giving any help on going down the roadways.
Let's slow down.
I'm not very good with that. I drive a Prius now, so it slows me down.
Well, Kyle, we can't thank you enough for stopping by. This has been a delight. Everybody says such great things about you, and obviously it's true. It's a real pleasure.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been fun, and hopefully we see a cool game. Obviously, the Reds have put up an early score there, and hopefully they carry it on through the rest of the night.
Good luck in Michigan. We'll look forward to having you here in the Tri-State at the end of June.
Yeah, man, being back in Kentucky is going to be fun. We're really looking forward to a great showing there at the end of June, and KentuckySpeedway.com. Pick up your tickets.
All right.
Twins will be in town, and on a Friday night, stick around after the game. There'll be a Q&A with Hall of Fame inductee Sean Casey. We'll have a Hall of Fame summer soundtrack to the fireworks, thanks to Jeff Weiler Automotive Family. For tickets, call 381-REDS or visit reds.com. Boy, what a delightful young man, Kyle Busch.
Great guy.
Really
Great guy.
good guy.
I mean, down to earth. Can you imagine driving as fast as he drives for a living?
No.
That's unbelievable. Good driver, 12th in the point standings right now.
Yeah, he's got a win already this year, and obviously he loves coming to Kentucky Speedway. 4 overall wins there, including the race here last season. Top of the order for the Reds, and a pop-up in the shallow center, and that's an easy out. Reds lead 1-0. They got their run in the opening frame on a 2-out run scoring single by Brandon Phillips. Joining us a little bit later on tonight up here in the booth. I mean, it's a cast of stars up here tonight. Kyle Busch from the NASCAR world. Tom Farmer from Fox Sports Arizona, Fox Sports Ohio. He doubles in Arizona. And we'll have Urban Meyer, the head coach of the Ohio State University Buckeyes, who, along with his son Nate and Urban's 2 daughters, threw out the ceremonial first pitches tonight here at Great American Ballpark.
Big night.
Charging it short, Cabrera. Boy, he's a nice player over there.
Yes, he is. Big, strong guy. Plays good defense. Switch hitter. Has some power. Well, you want to start a ball club, and you start it up the middle. Cabrera is the guy that you may want to take a hard look at. He goes into the hole right here. Just makes it look so easy. Just a little flip of that arm, and that ball goes perfectly over to first base.
Votto never leaving the batter's box. Never changed his stance after looking at ball 1 in this at bat. He grounded out his first pitch in his only other at bat to the first baseman Kochman. He still hadn't left the box.
Or his expression. Well, you know, Lowe likes to pitch fast, and you've seen some guys try to step out on him just to break up his rhythm. Votto says, hey, I'll stay right with you. You want to speed it up? I'm right there. I like that.
I do too.
And you wonder how many batters that Derek Lowe has pitched to in his 16-year major league career, and how many guys have done this, what Joey Votto's done. He may be the first.
He has still not moved either foot. He had to subtly do so there to avoid that pitch in the dirt. But otherwise has not budged and is standing there waiting on Lowe.
Yeah, now Santana's going to try to slow it down just a little bit. Maybe he's trying to get Lowe to pitch faster than he really wants to.
And there's a walk.
Little head game going on.
I think you're right.
You know, Joey Votto does not go to the plate without a plan. And you don't always know what that plan is, but he's got one.
Brandon Phillips, a 2-out single in the center field to score Wilson Valdez in the first inning, and now Brandon with a runner at first and 2 out here in the third. Strike 1.
You know, you go to those batting cages, you know, you put your dollar in and you get 12 pitches or so coming out of there with that iron mic throwing. You never want to get out of the batter's box, and that's what happens here. Votto doesn't want to miss one pitch.
That's something else, isn't it?
I like that.
Runner goes, and a throw down to second base is in time to get Votto, and that'll retire the side. No hits, none left. We've played 3 where the Reds lead the Indians 1-0. Trivia question: who are the only two players to play 10 games with both the Reds and the Indians in the Ohio matchup? They play for the Ohio Cup. Well, I would say one of those players would be Austin Kearns.
Does that include pitchers? No.
You know what? I bet it does. I got a feel. Oh, okay. We understand now. It does not.
So the answer to last night's question can also be the answer to tonight's.
That is correct. These are two position players. So I'm going to take a stab at one of them, Austin Kearns.
I think Jeff Branson. Didn't Jeff Branson play for both teams?
Probably a very, very good guess.
Maybe not good enough.
I'm being told no is the answer. 1-1 to Jason Kipnis. Heart of the order here against Matt Latos, who's only allowed 2 hits. They came back to back after retiring the first 8 on the night. That is a perfect bunt, and it'll just die right on the line. That's living right.
But he's got 10 home runs, 15 stolen bases, and knows how to bunt. Pretty good combination right here. This is what scouts just love about Jason Kipnis, is his ability to have 2 of the things that scouts love the most, which is power and speed. You have that combination together, you've got something special. Good slow motion of that rolling bunt that is just about perfectly laid down there by Performance Honda. 15 bags. Now you got to figure that he may be off and going here. Remember that one of the shortcomings in Matt Latos's pitching repertoire is his inability to hold runners. 12 stolen bases against him, only 1 throw him out. So if you're thinking along now with Carlos Santana, you're thinking, all right, I got my speed guy on at first base. I've got a fastball pitcher who doesn't hold runners well. I'm probably going to get some fastballs ahead right here. So Carlos Santana is probably tuned up for that number 1.
Not running on that pitch. It misses in. 2-0 now to Santana.
I would imagine in this ballpark that Manny Acta will give the green light to Carlos Santana. If he gets a fastball that he likes, he'd love to see this young man jump all over it.
Well, instead it is a 4-pitch walk, and trailing 1-0, a bunt hit and a walk. And the Indians are knocking on the door with 2 on and nobody out. And it just so happens their hitter with at least 1 hit in 19 consecutive games, Michael Brantley, makes his way to the plate. He popped up to Jay Bruce in shallow right field back in the 2nd inning. Well, the Reds believe that Brantley might be asked to bunt here. And really the Indians, we brought it up last night. In many, many ways, they resemble a National League club. They're not a big home run hitting team. Manny Acta likes a running game. They play small ball. But with 2 on and nobody out, at least on the first pitch, no sign of a bunt by Brantley.
Well, they play small ball, but maybe not in a small ball park.
Base hit into left field, and they'll hold the runner at third. The Indians have them loaded, and it's 20 straight games with a base hit from Michael Brantley, which ties the longest hitting streak by any batter in baseball this summer.
Well, that's a nice stroke right here. I mean, he just doesn't try to do too much into it. He just lets that ball travel so deep, hits it right out of the catcher's mitt.
So they're loaded for Johnny Damon. And a first pitch fastball at 93 is in there, strike one. Kipnis a runner at third, Santana at second, Brantley at first, nobody out. 0-2. Pulled foul. It remains no balls and 2 strikes on Damon. Kochman waits in the on deck circle. And let's see if Latos can find his 4th strikeout of the night right here and right now. He got it.
Taking a page out of the book of Johnny Cueto with that little 2-seam fastball that he runs off the plate. And look at the movement. There are not a lot of right-handers that can do that, and Latos is showing me that he can. I didn't really know he had that pitch. Always been known as more of a 4-seam fastball guy, and he's got a lot of movement on that. That is a key strikeout.
Well, now it's left-handed batting first baseman Kochman, who struck out swinging his first time up. Bases are loaded, 1 out. Reds with a 1-0 lead. We're in the top of the 4th inning. Fouled off out of play, strike 1. Kipnis started the inning with a bunt hit. Santana followed with a walk. Brantley singled. Latos comes back to fan Damon, and now ahead 0-1 on Kochman. And the 0-1 delivery is up. Saw the numbers on Kochman batting with runners in scoring position. He has basically been playing every day, and he has just 20 runs batted in. But Kochman is a better hitter than what he has shown so far this season.
Well, he's a good contact hitter. Never really a lot of power, but he usually puts the ball in play. And he's always been known to have a very good idea of the strike zone. So far, his favorite pitch in this inning has been that little inside fastball right at the belt buckle, and I would be surprised to see him go right back to it right here.
Three balls and a strike to Kochman with the bases loaded. 1 out in the inning. Throw him a fastball and it's fouled away. Well, Chris, do you believe you threw fastball 3-1? You're going to throw fastball here on a full count?
Absolutely. You don't have the kind of guy at the plate who is all that much of a deep threat. You can leave it out over the plate and he can hit a home run. Don't get me wrong. But he's got good control over that pitch. He's already struck out a batter on it. He struck out Santana on that same pitch. Actually got him on a breaking ball. come right back with the heater. Looks like that's what he's going to do.
He did. It's a ground ball to Votto. He throws to second, picked out of the dirt, and they're unable to turn the double play, but they do get the second out of the inning with Kipnis scoring the tying run to make it a 1-1 game.
Nice play by Joey Votto, man. He just is able to try to make something out of nothing right there. The pick at the other end, Michael Brantley with a little whip slide right there. Whipped his leg into Wilson Valdez just to make certain that that double play was not going to happen.
Well, now's where Latos really needs to focus in and zero in on finishing off this inning. If he could get out of bases loaded, nobody out, having surrendered just the one run, you'd say that's a mighty good job.
Yeah, you're right. But this is the guy, not much of a batting average, but tons of power.
Strike one. That's 15 of the first 17 batters in the game that Latos has started with a first pitch strike.
That's a ton of action on that fastball because these lefties aren't even thinking about swinging at it. They must all think that pitch is going to stay inside.
Chisenhall just recently brought up from the minor leagues. They lost Jack Canahan, their regular third baseman, to injury. The two of them went into spring training in a straight up battle to who would be the Indians' regular third baseman, and Hanahan came out on top. Although they still very much believe in the long-term upside of Chisenhall. Slow roller to the right side, and a job well done indeed by Matt Latos. Indians had him loaded with nobody out and scored just once to tie the game.
Indians. Jim Day with you right beside the Reds dugout, and this team has been ravaged by the flu going through the clubhouse. Yesterday was not a good day as far as health goes for Reds players, but as Dusty Baker told me, they had an ace in the hole as far as a remedy.
We had our resident cook, Juan Lopez. You know, he made some of Mom's chicken soup for some of the guys, chicken soup and garlic. So, you know, we're going medical and some I guess it's called holistic or natural way to, you know, to heal some of the guys. And so I urge them all to eat some soup and drink a lot of water and get well.
And Tom and Chris, I know you love to give some Porky love. And who would have known all the medicine out there in the world that the Reds could get. And Porky Lopez's chicken noodle soup with garlic was the healer.
That's very, very nice. Porky taking it easy so far tonight.
He had a night off last night with Johnny Cueto going a complete game. I'd like to see another one tonight out of Matt Latos, and 2 nights in a row.
Porty's got a daughter, right? Very good softball player, going to be playing collegiately. I think it's at Central Florida. Is that right next year?
I think Florida International.
Is it Florida International? Okay, I beg your pardon.
And, of course, his son Jack playing in the minor leagues. Kansas City Royals doing a fine job down in the Arizona League.
Brandon Phillips batting for the 2nd time tonight, at a run-scoring single in the opening inning. And he was up there when Joey Votto was thrown out trying to get to second base in the 3rd. So 1 run, 4 hits for the Indians. 1 run. The Phillips hit, the only hit for the Reds so far tonight against Derek Lowe, who has walked 3 batters. And now 3-1 on Brandon.
Yeah, the control problems that Derek Lowe has shown tonight, really not something that has plagued him throughout the year. Comes into this ball game having only 20 walks in 72 innings. He doesn't strike out many, doesn't walk many, gives up hits. But he's turned in some great performances. I mean, he's got 9 quality starts out of 12 starts overall.
2 for 2 tonight is Brandon Phillips. Well, let's get back and answer our AT&T trivia question tonight. The 2 players that have played in 10 or more games for each of these teams during the Ohio Cup.
How about Ben Broussard? Did he play for the Reds ever? No.
We guessed Austin Kearns, Aaron Boone.
How did we miss Aaron Boone?
That's a good question. That's a better question than the AT&T trivia question.
Yeah.
Especially a guy like you. I hold you more responsible for these questions than me, because you have been broadcasting for the Reds ever since interleague play began in, what, 1997?
Yeah. Well, guilty as charged.
Jeez. Now Jay Bruce.
But I'm the analyst, so I'm supposed to analyze the game, not remember what happened. Play-by-play guy is the one who needs their quick recall.
Well, I better get to work.
And maybe to do a little homework.
2-0 to count on Jay Bruce. And there's ball 3. Well, you brought up earlier the Indians maybe give Santana a 3-0 green light. Jay Bruce the same?
Well, yeah, why not? I think you get a situation where you're going to get ball right down Broadway, and there's a 3-0 green light.
There you go.
And you want a good swing at it. I mean, you got a pitch you like, but you want to make sure that those guys that you give a green light to on 3-0, they know what they need to do, which is essentially shrink the strike zone to a 6-by-6 inch area. I mean, it's got to be right there.
All right, 3 balls and a strike now on Bruce, who has virtually the entire left side of the infield wide open as again Cleveland puts on the shift. And it's hammered right straight in the ground. 3-2 to Bruce. Swinging a foul tip in and out of the mid of the catcher Santana. Phillips was running on the pitch, and he's wondering what happened. He'll ask the umpire, and he'll say, "Head on back, young man." We'll do it again, 3-2. And it's ball 4 to Bruce. 4 walks in the game for Derek Lowe. And now the Reds start the bottom of the 4th inning the way the Indians began the top of the inning. The first 2 aboard.
Boy, that is dangerous in this ballpark. Manny Acton knows it. Talking to Manny for a long time before the ball game tonight, he says, you know, this is the kind of ballpark when you come in as a manager, you're just nervous all the time. It doesn't matter what the score is. You know that a couple of walks and an error, a swing of the bat, and all of a sudden, you know, your lead that you built up is gone. And now he's looking exactly the opposite of that.
Well, he's quite a guy. Isn't he, to talk to, Manny Acton?
Very much so. Good baseball man, solid. Loves to come to Cincinnati. Walk to the ballpark here. The team stays downtown.
Todd Frazier hit a ball right on the nose, his only at bat tonight. And it wound up being a line drive right at Brantley in center field.
Ironically enough for Derek Lowe, the only other game this year that he has walked 4 batters in was his only complete game shutout. That was against the Minnesota Twins. Wow. Of course, what he's looking for right here out of Todd Frazier is a ground ball. And he gets a lot of ground balls. In fact, he is atop the leaderboard in all of Major League Baseball in getting ground balls. 76% of the outs come by way of that ball on the ground. You can see when he's missing most of the time is down. Cal telling me before the game, yep, I faced him before and he owned me. Well, I'm going to change that tonight.
Big chance right here. And a tapper slowly hit down to third. The only play is to first, and they get Frazier. But Phillips does advance to third. The same for Bruce on to second base, and this becomes a huge at bat now for Ryan Ludwig. You know, we brought up earlier the career numbers for Ludwig against Derek Lowe. But I think it's very safe to say that a lot of that damage was done while Ludwig was playing for the St. Louis Cardinals. And that's been a while.
This may be a good old-fashioned pitch around coming up right here if he gets behind Ludwig early on.
First pitch swinging, fly ball to center field. Brantley prepares for the throw. Phillips tags up. He will score. So Ludwig breaks the 1-1 tie with a sac fly. So Ludwig gets the job done. We'll see how they go after Ryan Hannigan, if they do at all. No, they're going to intentionally walk him. Doesn't take long to get an idea about the way a manager feels about situations. Even though it's infrequent that we have interleague series, yeah, they play twice a year against the Indians. A total of 6 games do the Reds. But this is 2 nights in a row where a lot of managers in baseball against a number 8 hitter, their theory is he's a number 8 hitter for a reason, and we're going to go after him. But now twice the Indians have walked a number 8 hitter to allow the pitcher to come to the plate with 2 outs in an inning.
I think he just wants to get out of this inning. Get his team off the field, and best way to do that is to walk the number 8 hitter and pitch to Matt Latos.
I remember I've told the story, and Chris, you and I've talked about it. You know, I mean, Jim Leland has forgotten more baseball than I will ever hope to know. But boy, he and I had a very lively debate about that very topic many years ago. There's a bouncing ball to short, and they'll get the out at second. The Reds break the tie. And we move to the 5th. Cincinnati 2, the Indians 1. Food Group, creating great dishes together with the food service industry for over 30 years. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Visit buyatoyota.com and by AT&T. The nation's largest 4G network, AT&T. Rethink possible. Well, we told you he was going to stop by after throwing out the first pitch with his son Nate and his daughters Nikki and Gigi, the head coach of the Ohio State University Buckeyes, Urban Meyer. How'd you feel about this? Looked pretty good out there.
Well, it's really cool to have your kids out there with you, so it was a lot of fun.
Did you warm up ahead of time? You know, that's always the trick, to make sure that you don't bounce one.
No, I was just asking my son if he was going to throw a curveball or not. But I just had to get it across the plate.
You know, a lot of people know that, of course, you're an alum of the University of Cincinnati, where you were a baseball player. You were actually drafted by the Atlanta Braves, I believe, 13th round?
13th round.
And played minor league baseball a couple of years.
Yeah, I hit, I think, a cool 199 my first year. Second year, I had it going a little bit, and then got injured, hurt my arm, and then chased my first love, football.
Was the injury an injury as such, because I've never asked you about this, where you thought it might be something that would affect you long term to be able to continue to play baseball?
Well, back then it wasn't as detailed as it is now, and I certainly wasn't the type of a high draft pick where they spent much time on you. So I was one of those guys. I didn't say anything to anybody for about 3 months. My arm was in bad shape, and I just kept going and going and going. And it got to the point where I had a hard time picking it up. I mean, actually lifting my arm up, and then I just moved on.
All right, what kind of a player were you? Speed player? Did you hit for power? Good defense? Give us a scatter report on Urban Meyer, the baseball player.
Well, I came from a great town, Ashtabula, Ohio, small town. And I guess I was rather big for a shortstop. But obviously not a very good player to stick around very long in the minors.
Oh, come on. You got drafted. You had to do something, right? But you say your first love is football. You come back to UC, and I know a huge influence on your career and your life. A man we lost that used to sit next door to us each and every night. You come in to see your father, who sadly, our thoughts and prayers, you lost recently, and you come to town to see him and your sisters, and it was Glenn Sample.
Well, Glenn Sample, you mentioned my father. Glenn Sample is a lot like my father. You know, and there was a guy named Jim Kelly, assistant athletic director as well. There was like a group of people, just those old-time guys, honest as the day's long, just hardcore Cincinnati people. They love Cincinnati, know everything about it. My dad and I we'd come over here to the Reds Hall of Fame and spend 4 or 5 hours. We'd go down to Union Terminal and that great museum down below, and that was kind of our thing to do. And Glenn Sample was the same way. I'd sit in his office and we'd sit and talk about Cincinnati Red baseball for, you know, an hour and a half at a time, and I love the guy.
Well, you had quite a day today. We knew you were going to throw out the first pitch, and we were so excited about it. But when you get down here with your family and you're down onto the field, Reds are taking batting practice, and then all of a sudden, there stands Pete Rose. Now, people may not know this about Urban Meyer. I mean, this guy grew up, him and his wife, Shelley, hardcore Reds fans. Is that right?
Beyond hardcore.
Okay.
I mean, I could tell you the batting lineup, the batting averages, and we used to keep score. My dad and I on the radio listening to your dad. It was incredible.
And you met Pete Rose tonight. Had you ever met him before?
You know, I met Pete Rose when I played for the Braves in spring training. He was with the Montreal Expos at the time. And the minor leaguers weren't supposed to go on the major league field, but I said, I'm not giving up this shot. So I walked across the field. No one said anything to me. I walked right up to the man and said, hey, I'm Urban Meyer. And I'm in my Braves uniform. We're getting ready to play on the smaller fields.
Kid.
And that was the first time I met him. But, I mean, that was a bucket list item right there.
2 down in the inning, 0-1 the count, and now 0-2 the count.
Pete's a big football fan, too. Did you guys talk a little football?
He's a big football fan. Not many people know he was a great football player in high school. Yeah. You know, tough as nails at Western Hills High School. My dad used to talk about him all the time. My dad grew up about a couple miles from where Pete Rose grew up. And obviously Western Hills with the great tradition of all the baseball players from Western Hills. But he is a big football fan. We're going to try to get him up for a Ohio State game.
There's a line drive into right field, a base hit. Well, you know, you made the decision during this offseason after being out of coaching for a year after you left the University of Florida, and the opportunity presents itself to come to Ohio State. Now, you had a chance to be an assistant under Earl Bruce for a couple of years, and, you know, there were people for many, many years, Urban, that felt like, you know, this was your destiny to be at Ohio State. Without being overly, you know, Freudian about it, Is that the kind of thing, even for a guy like you, when you're having great success somewhere else, you say, maybe one day if it ever happens?
You know, you just live each day. I was in such a great job at the University of Florida, and the obligation, responsibility to do your best there, and I loved it. We loved Florida. We still do. We'll always have a home in Gainesville, Florida. And I really thought I was done coaching for a lot of reasons. And when this one opened up, it was, if it wasn't for Ohio State, I'm not coaching this coming year. I mean, that's the love I have for this university. And I have a degree from Ohio State. And as long back as I can remember, I mean, you talk about the Reds. I'm sitting watching the Reds play the Indians. I'm also an Indians fan. And I'm coaching for Ohio State. I mean, it's full circle.
Pretty good deal, isn't it?
Really good deal.
All right, so as good as it is, I mean, you come back home, you get to do what you've always wanted to do. What are the biggest challenges, though, that you have coming into Ohio State?
Well, biggest challenges are, putting a great team on the field. That we just got our grades back. We had one of the highest GPAs in the last decade, they just told me, so I'm fired up about it. That's a good indication whether your kids are buying in right now, and we have good players. Ohio State, Jim Tressel did a marvelous job there. He's a friend of mine, and it's not like Ohio State's a mess. They had a bad season, and we'll be back. But, the expectation level is not just of Buckeye Nation, but of Urban Meyer and our coaching staff is to be not good, but great. And so we have some work to do to become great.
Can you stick around for one more half inning?
Sure.
All right. I know you want to get back to your family and watch a ball game. Reds are in front 2-1. They come to bat in the bottom of the fifth. There he is. Got the Reds jersey. Jackson says the Bengals are all business as they conduct minicamp right now. And Sam Amico brings you his daily NBA rumor and draft news, all on FoxSportsOhio.com. Coach Urban Meyer joins us, and don't forget this coming fall, every Saturday morning for Game Time with Urban Meyer right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Coach Meyer will preview every opponent, give you the inside information on the Buckeyes getting ready. Urban Meyer, Game Time with Urban Meyer. Every Saturday this fall right here on Fox Sports Ohio. So Chris Heisey to lead things off here in the Reds' top half of the fifth inning. We were talking, Coach, in between innings, and you were talking a little bit with Chris Welsh, and Chris is a St. Xavier alum, and many people may not know, but your very first coaching job was at St. Xavier High School. And if I'm not mistaken, Steve Rasso was the coach back then.
Steve Rasso, and my best player, I was a secondary coach, was a guy named Steve Specht, who's currently one of the best coaches in Ohio and one in the country. And big St. X fan.
And then you had a chance to go to Ohio State from there under Earl Bruce. Notre Dame for a little while, right?
Notre Dame for a little while, Colorado State for a little while, and then we started the head coaching circuit at Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, and Ohio State.
Well, that's where I had a chance to get a chance to meet you, was when you were the head coach of the Gators, and Do people give you a hard time about that demolition of Ohio State that you had as a head coach of the Florida Gators in that championship game, or they lay off you on that?
You know, it doesn't come up, and that I have to be careful, you know, because I have a lot of mementos around the house, but that was a surreal day. You know, I remember looking. I'll never forget when Ohio State came out of the tunnel and just kind of, you know, looking up, saying, "What's going on here?" You know, there's my school.
And then they run the opening kickoff back.
Teddy Ginn was about 5 feet from me. I almost went out hitting myself.
There's ball 4 to Heisey to begin the bottom half of the 5th inning.
But that was a different kind of a ball club, though, Ohio State had that you had down in Florida. And I remember watching an interview of you at one time, Urban, that said, you know, you had a feeling at that time that your speed of your ball club would eventually be able to take over that ball game. And I'm wondering, is that the kind of ball club that you will eventually bring to Ohio State?
Well, we got to find out. You know, we need to go recruit some speed on offense. That's the issue right now. Defense, I'm pleased with what we got. Quarterback, we have tremendous amount of speed. I mean, that guy can run. Braxton Miller can really fly. But right now, we got to really work on developing who we have and go out and recruit some speed. It is a different style of offense. You know, we're going to try to create as much width as we are depth, vertical depth in the passing game. So bubble screens, the zone read play, all the things you've seen us do at Florida. We're going to be old school spread offense. Real physical up front, but we're going to try to get guys in space, and we certainly have the quarterback to do that.
You know, I've often wondered, Coach, you hear the so-called experts out there, whoever they are, but you would certainly be one, where you talk about that style of offense in SEC country, where the weather, by and large, is very, very good, especially in Florida. But you ran this offense at a couple of places where maybe the weather isn't so good. Is that a foul ball? Yes. Where the weather wasn't so great when you were the head coach at Bowling Green and then the head coach at Utah. So is that just a non-factor argument-wise, or do you still have to have some of that run, hard-nosed football?
Well, if you really we led the SEC in rushing. I mean, for the 6 years we were there's no team that rushed for more yardage than we did. There's no team that had more rushing touchdowns than we had by a large margin. So we are extremely physical running team. It just doesn't look, it's not traditional eye. If you look at our offensive line, it's the same exact. You see Marquise Pouncey, Mike Pouncey doing great in the NFL because they learned an NFL offense. It's power and it's zone. Now we do it from a multitude of sets, non-traditional sets. So it's still going to be a power offense.
Is that why the SEC seems to dominate during the bowl games? Do they all kind of take that philosophy and run with it?
Oh, I think you see a lot of different philosophies. Like Alabama's a little bit different. What I think it is the defensive side of the ball, the players, the front seven. You hear people talk about it all the time. It is different right now. I'm not saying it's always going to be like that because we're going to do. You look at our recruiting class last year and some of the guys we're recruiting now. We're doing the best we can to bring that style of defense to the Big Ten. And there are some, Michigan State right now, Wisconsin. There's some great defenses in this league. But right now, you'd say the SEC has the country beat right now on the defensive front seven.
The young man that you have now is a freshman, so you're allowed to talk about it. I have only seen him on a basketball court. I've never seen him play football. Adolphus Washington, the kid from here in Taft. I don't know if I've ever seen a young man in my life, and you've been looking at recruiting young guys from the time they're 14, 15, 16 years old. I don't know if I've ever seen a better athlete for a man that size in my life. Is that a stretch? And this will stretch the defense a little bit. That is going to be up against the wall, and they are going to hold the runner at third on a double by Joey Votto. So the Reds have second and third, one out here in the 5th inning.
I hate to interrupt a great game here, Tom.
No.
Well, all right, Urban, let's talk a little baseball. How about Joey Votto?
Well, Joey Votto hitting 350, and I mean, he's got a pure swing. I love his intensity at the plate. Between pitches, I was really watching him because I love baseball. He never gets out of that box. He plants his feet, and he's going to go attack that pitcher.
Well, we haven't seen him do that until tonight. I'm wondering if he's trying maybe playing a head game with Derek Lowe, who likes to pitch quickly. Keep that pace going and saying, hey, you want to go fast? I'm ready for you.
So he hasn't done that in the past?
No, he has not.
This is the fastest working pitcher in baseball. We were almost wondering, was that a situation tonight where, Votto doesn't leave the box much, but that was almost as if to say, okay, let's go right now.
I got chills thinking about Pete Rose, and I talked about one of the great. Baseball is such a head game. You try to, what's the word I'm looking for, intimidate the other player with some kind of game. Do you remember when Pete Rose in 1976 stood about 15 feet from Mickey Rivers?
Yeah.
And we were just talking about that. And he said Sparky Anderson and him talked about the game. He was inside out on Mickey. I was a little guy watching that game. And you talk about, I didn't realize Joey Votto was doing it. You're darn right he's doing that. That's to get in the pitcher's head.
So now they are loaded for Jay Bruce. And he began with a walk to Heisey. That's 6 walks in the game, which is very un-Derek Lowe light. He got the strikeout of Valdez, a double to Votto, and now hits Phillips, and Bruce lines one into right. Tagging and coming in to score is Heisey, and that will make it a 3-1 game. So a good job by Jay Bruce. Before we let you get out of here, Coach Meyer, because of some of the sanctions that happened, you're not allowed to play in a Big Ten championship game this year or go to a bowl game this year. I'm never going to ask, is that a good thing? Because, you know, obviously you want to compete at the highest level and go as far as you possibly can. But it's give you a chance and your staff a chance to really maybe do some things from a foundation standpoint, maybe a little bit different than otherwise.
You know, I haven't thought that far ahead. We're going to try to win every game we play. You know, what I worry about is since we started, our staff started and I started as a head coach, our goal is to play in the championship, play for the championship in November. This would be the first year in a decade. I don't, you know, that the motivation in October, that's what I'm trying to research now. How do you go get your team ready to go play those tough games in November? And when you're playing for a championship, motivation is not real hard.
Where do you go to find that?
Well, some people have had to play with that. You know, USC's had to do it. Auburn's had to do it. Some mentors of mine. I've talked, you know, Lou Holtz's, Earl Bruce's of the world. My team. I have some very mature players. John Simons of the world, Zach Bournes of the world. I've had some conversation because it's their team. Last year was a bad year. You don't want to leave your career be known as that team that lost, had 2 back-to-back bad seasons. So there's a lot of motivation, but you know, how do we motivate the younger players on the team if they know they're not going to play a bowl game?
1-2 on Todd Frazier. Urban Meyer's been kind enough to stop up and visit with us here in the booth, and Coach, we're all going to be rooting for you this season, as this should be the final out of the inning. Not going to be an easy play, but the center fielder gets here. Thanks for the time tonight.
Well, I'm just happy for Cincinnati. I think the Bengals are doing great with Marv Lewis. You got the Reds here doing fantastic. A beautiful night. Well, it's great to be back in the state of Ohio.
We're happy to have you back in a Buckeye State.
Thanks, Tom.
Urban Meyer kind enough to stop by. Reds lead 3-1 as we move to the 6th.
Presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live is everything you need to know for that night's game, and it's only on your exclusive home for the Cincinnati Reds, Fox Sports Ohio. And post-game, after every Reds game, Fox Sports Ohio breaks down the game with interviews from Dusty Baker and players. Reds Live is brought to you by Kings Honda in the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com.
All right, here we go. Top of the 6th inning. Reds with a 3-1 lead. Very kind of both Kyle Busch and Urban Meyer to stop by tonight.
What a night. What a night. Did a good job.
Urban Meyer's a big guy.
Yes, I had no idea.
You really forget what a big guy he is. I mean, I haven't seen him in a couple of years, and you just forget. You see him on TV, and you're standing around those monsters all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to be, what, 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah. In good shape. Looks happy.
0-2 the count on Carlos Santana to begin the inning, and that's in the dirt. I'll tell you one thing. He is so excited, Chris, from the you know, I talk to him from time to time, as you know, and he is just so excited to be back in Ohio. I mean, you know, this guy, just like you, just like me, this guy grew up hardcore Reds fan, loved everything about Ohio. And, you know, I don't care if you're a UC fan, a Xavier fan, Ohio State, whatever, at Miami, Ohio University. You know, you grow up in Ohio, and you just love Ohio. You love it. You like some things more than others. But I know that he's very excited to be back, and I think Ohio State's glad to have him.
I think it was pretty cool to bring that story up about how he was talking with Pete Rose below the stadium tonight about Pete and Mickey Rivers.
Yep.
I remember that like it was yesterday.
That one ripped into right field, and that'll be a double to begin the Cleveland 6 by Santana, who had struck out and drawn a walk tonight. So Latos now has been given a 2-run lead. He got out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam by giving up just 1 run. Michael Brantley extended his hitting streak to 20 consecutive games with a single to left field his last time up. Strike 1. Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting, healthier products for your menu. JTM. Oh, and 1 to Brantley, runner at second, and nobody out. A ball and a strike. And now Latos ahead at 1-2. Brantley nearly the last man standing in that CC Sabathia deal when the Indians traded the left-hander a couple of years ago to Milwaukee. There's a bouncer to the right side, and Votto will take it himself for the first out of the inning. They still do have Matt Laporta, and he was a guy that really got all the pub coming over as Milwaukee's highly touted prospect in that deal, but he's really struggled when they've given him a chance with a major league club.
In fact, they sent him down to the minor leagues today, Tom, in a move that the Indians made to go out and get a pitcher off their roster. I think they picked up a pitcher from Colorado, and
Esmil Rogers.
And Laporta was the guy to go down.
Laporta admitted that he's put a tremendous amount of pressure on himself to live up to all the hype when he's been given a chance at the big league level. There's a roller to the right side. Phillips thought about it, and he'll play to first to get the second out of the inning. Santana scores, so we're back to a 1-run ball game.
Man, that was just hit so softly. It sounded like it came off a wet newspaper when Damon hit that ball. It was never really going to get out to Phillips in time for him to even think about coming home with it. Odd as it sounds, there are some times when it's good not to hit the ball hard.
So now Kochman with the bases empty and 2 men out. Kochman was a big out for Latos in the 4th inning. Bases loaded and 1 out, ran the count to 3-1, got it to 3-2 before he had a ground ball to Votto, who tried to start the 3-6-3 double play, but all they got was the out at second. So Kochman got an RBI, but it was his second out of the inning, and Latos was able to retire Chisenhall for the final out. Oh, and 2 to Kochman.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe Matt Latos didn't go through the same thing that Laporta went through. You know, coming over in that big trade from the Yankees. Of course, Latos came over from San Diego in a 5-player deal. 4 went to San Diego and 1 came back, and I think he felt like he needed to earn that respect of Reds fans right away.
Well, Latos was on his way to the dugout.
I don't know why he isn't. That ball looked awfully good. I think he's settled down a lot over the last few starts, just to realize that, hey, he's going to get 30, 35 starts. You can't prove it all in the first week of the season. 96 on the radar gun that last pitch. What we were talking about early on, the first 5 games in April, struggled like he usually does in April, but maybe even more so. He's tightened it up a little bit.
And there's strike 3 called at 94, and Latos excited. He does give up a run. Reds back with a 1-run lead in the bottom of the 6th inning. Greatest stars battle for home field advantage in the Fall Classic. The road to the World Series begins with a 2012 Major League Baseball All-Star Game Tuesday, July the 10th from Kansas City, 7:30 Eastern on Fox. And really the first Reds All-Star has already been named, and that's Paul Lessard. Congratulations to Paul, the head trainer for the National League staff under its manager Tony La Russa.
Great.
It's a great honor.
Great guy, very qualified trainer. And he's been busy lately.
You're right about that.
I mean, not only the guys that he's had on their normal injured list, like Scott Rowland, Nick Massett, Bill Bray, and so on.
High fly ball into right center field. That ball continues to carry. And it is caught by Chu right in front of the wall.
Well, anything up to that part of the ballpark, especially off the bat of Ryan Ludwig, because that is his power alley. And Shin-Soo Choo goes right up against the wall and didn't save a home run, but actually he battled that Reds fan for that ball and ended up with a rebound. It's a nice play.
And now Chu having to sprint towards the line, and this one will drop in there, a base hit for Ryan Hanigan.
How about that? You hit a ball like Ryan Ludwig, long way to right center field. You send a guy all the way up against the 370 mark. I mean, he leaps at the wall to make a catch and grab it, rob you of a base hit, and then you hit one off the end of the bat like that. You flare it right inside the first base line. You say, yep, looks like a line drive in a scorebook. Ryan Hanigan will tell you, I practiced those. Little 60-degree wedge.
I tell you what, it's really not all that far from the truth. I mean, maybe not quite that dramatic, but you watch Hanigan take batting practice, and virtually everything is being shot into right field. Not like that. Latos bunts it very hard, and Kochman, an excellent defender, and they get the out of Hanigan. Kochman among the game's very best defensive first baseman.
Well, it's an easier play for a left-handed throwing first baseman, and Kochman's got a good arm. He plays aggressive defense. He came charging that ball very hard. And a good hard slide at the very end of this, because this could have been a double play ball. But watch Ryan Hanigan go right in near that shortstop, and I mean, he is going to make sure that Asdrubal Cabrera does not throw that ball to first base.
So now Heisey bats for the fourth time in the game. Reds with a 3-2 lead, a swing and a miss. Tonight's Ohio Lottery Powerball jackpot up to $240 million. Mercy. Drawing comes your way at 11 p.m. tonight. Still time to get a ticket. The battle for Ohio began last night here in Cincinnati. The Reds coming away big winners. Scored 5 runs over their last 2 at-bats. I mean, it was a tight one going all the way into the 7th inning with a 2-1 Reds lead. Wound up being 7-1. Johnny Cueto, a complete game 6 hitter. And tonight, another close one as we're starting to move later into the ball game. 2-1 on Heisey. Is into right center field. That'll fall in a hit. Latos makes a turn. He's going to third. And he's in there standing up. So they're on the corners with 2 outs for Valdez.
Where Chris Heisey looks just so much better at the plate now than he did at the beginning of the year. You know, he kind of went to spring training almost trying to reinvent himself. And what they've worked on is making things simple for him. Get your front foot down. Don't sway towards the pitcher. Don't move your head towards the pitcher as you swing. Just stay behind the baseball. And it's made just a world of difference for Chris, and just a simple little adjustment.
Well, this is the manager going out for this meeting. Manny Acton. That didn't take very long. Valdez loves to put down that bunt. He's not afraid to put it down with 2 outs in an inning to try and bunt his way on for a hit to knock in a run.
The only thing that may complicate that is the fact that you've got Matt Latos down there at third, and there's no force play, so he wouldn't have to run on a ball of play. He probably would anyway. But even with 2 outs, I mean, there's no reason you have to run from third. I mean, if you make a great bunt down the third baseline and you get out of the box quickly, and then the pitcher takes a slow break from third, the easiest play might be at the pitcher at home, and now you got a collision with the catcher.
Well, Valdez swinging away. That is a fair ball, and they'll throw him out to end the inning. That's a good read there by Chisenhall, not allowing that ball to go foul. Brent Strand 2. We go to the 7th. The 1-run Cincinnati lead. The official Reds baseball and softball camps presented by Safeco Insurance. I mean, you'll get special instruction from a Reds coach. You'll get your own Reds uniform. You'll come on the field here at Great American Ballpark. For more information on the official Reds camps, visit reds.com/camps today. Time now for our Home Depot doing more on defense. Brandon Phillips early on. How nice was that? Doesn't get any better. That was to take care of Chisenhall in the 3rd inning. Look at that. Bare hand, the eyes. And going back to his days as a shortstop, still has that shortstop arm. So now Atos climbs the hill here for the 7th inning. He has a 3-2 lead. And he'll be facing Chisenhall. The pitcher spot due up next. Already a pinch hitter, Shelley Duncan, standing in the on-deck circle with bat for Lowe, and then back to the top of the order and Chu. Base hit into center field by Chisenhall. The only 2 innings tonight leading up to this 7th where the Indians put the leadoff man aboard. They scored in that inning. So rather than Duncan, it's going to be Jose Lopez to bat for Derek Lowe. And another quality start for Derek Lowe. He's been a quality start machine.
He really is. He came into this ball game having 12 starts, 9 of those quality starts, so now it's 10 out of 13. He's got to be among the league leaders there.
He walked 6 batters, 1 intentionally.
Yeah, struggled to do it too, but he ends up putting no zeros on the board when he has to.
.96 pitches, only 56 of them for strikes. And yet 3 runs allowed in 6 innings. So now Lopez has been getting a little bit of playing time down at third base. There's a fly ball into right, and Bruce will get there in fair territory. 1 out. Shin-Soo Choo looks at a strike. He is struck out swinging, single to center, and bounced to Brandon Phillips. Fastball, and Latos does not get the call. 1-1. Latos ahead of Shu at 1-2 strikes. Reds clinging to a 1-run lead. We're in the top of the 7th inning. There's that fastball, Chris, you talked about earlier.
I'll tell you what, if there was one pitch that I could teach a young pitcher to throw a right-hander, that would be the pitch. A two-seam fastball that has enough comeback action that you can throw it just like that off the plate and have it come right back in and touch the inside corner. Man, what a weapon.
For television, that's the prettiest pitch there is for my money.
Yeah.
It's hard to really get such a great view of that, even if you have the best seats in the house.
I mean, you get a hitter that buckles on a fastball.
Well, now Latos, one more out to get here in the 7th inning. And it's not an easy out in Asdrubal Cabrera. Single to right his last time up. Started 2 and went after a first pitch breaking ball, strike 1. And now 0-2. Came back after the breaking ball with a fastball.
Paul Nauert calling them. He's calling corners on both sides. The hitters may not be happy about that. Cabrera didn't like that call.
So now Latos tries to put an end to this 7th inning, protecting a 1-run lead, tying run at first, and a check swing and a miss. Boy, did he wear out Cabrera in that at bat. So impressive. Latos fans chew and Cabrera to end the inning. They stand and stretch. Reds in front. A 3-2 game. Comet Pack 12, an app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, Windows Mobile. Text it back to 31826 or visit Reds.com for details. Dan Patrick Show tomorrow. Tune in at 10:30 because this man right here is going to be on it. Joey Votto. He'll be on at 10:35 tomorrow. Of course, Dan Patrick, another native Buckeye. Grew up north of Cincinnati and attended the University of Dayton. Always been a big Reds fan. Jose Lopez will remain in the game and he will play first base. Nick Hagedorn comes on from their bullpen. And he'll face a left-handed batting Joey Votto. Strike one. Well, no Derek Lowe on the mound, so Votto actually going to take 1 foot out of the box. Fooled badly there.
This kid's got a power arm. Hagedorn does. First fastball at 94, then that hard, sharp breaking ball. You know, when a hitter doesn't see a pitcher before, it's the first time I believe that these guys have matched up. Definite advantage pitcher.
Trying a breaking ball again that sweeps away from Votto, and 1 ball and 2 strikes. See the numbers for Votto. .314 against the left-handers. Started 2 and laid off, and that'll even account. Fought off a good fastball there, and that is a live fastball, as you mentioned, Chris. 95 miles per hour.
How many young left-handers do you see that are able to dial it up to 95?
Well, that means we have 2 of them here tonight.
Our guy warms up at 95.
Good point. And Votto just lifts one into left field for a base hit. The guy is just amazing. And we say it all the time. I know you're saying, golly, day enough already. You guys every night. Chris, it's saying something when people who watch baseball every night say things like this about a player.
Talking to Manny Active before the game, we were talking about some of his players, about how active they are in the batter's box, and they've got all this excess movement. And I tell them, is what he says, watch Joey Votto in the batter's box. Why can't you be more like Votto? I think you talk about a role model to model yourself after. I mean, as a hitter, as a player, as a man, I mean, he does believe that baseball players are role models, and he lives right up to it.
Sure does. Well, the Reds could certainly use a few tack-on runs here late. It's only a 1-run advantage right now here in the last of the 7th inning.
Well, they did that for Johnny Cueto last night. They poured it on towards the end of the ball game. The Reds did. They scored a couple in the 7th, 3 in the 8th, and they really iced the ball game. Indians have a very good record in 1-run games. They've won 10, lost 2.
Two and 1 to Brandon. Right-hander Joe Smith. Saw him last night. He's starting to loosen in the Cleveland bullpen. And that is hammered into left center field, and there's some tack on for you. Brandon Phillips. $14,000 has been raised to support prostate cancer research. We'd like to make a donation. We'll be doing this throughout the entire weekend. Call 1-800-798-CURE or go to pcf.org. Our home run challenge leading up to Father's Day on Sunday. Throws a fly ball into left. First down the inning. Reds now up 5-2.
Well, he got this and got it a bunch.
So now Todd Frazier, as Brandon Phillips hits home run number 7. That gives him 33 RBIs. And by the way, tonight, Brandon Phillips' 3-hit night has driven in 3 of the 5 runs, has scored twice and been on base all 4 plate appearances in the game. And now make it 58 straight games where there's been a home run here at Great American Ballpark. Baltimore pounding the Pirates. That's a 7-1 game at Camden Yards in the bottom of the 7th inning. St. Louis in the 4th leading the White Sox 1-0. Strike 3 on Frazier, and there are 2 out. Enter to win a Cincinnati USA getaway package, including attraction tickets and hotel accommodations. Visit CincinnatiUSA.com/Fox Sports. You know, tomorrow could be a very interesting day here at the ballpark in regards to the Reds roster. Dusty Baker said before the game today, Scott Rowland could be activated on the upcoming road trip, which begins on Friday night, and followed immediately with he could be activated before the game tomorrow.
One thing we do know is that he will not go down on a minor league rehab assignment. He's just going to deem himself ready to go.
You're in Walt Jocketty and Reds Live right here on Fox Sports Ohio. He sat down for a couple of segments with Jim Day and Jeff Pecoro. And when asked about Frazier, you know, he talked about the job he's done at third base and very, very impressed with what Todd has done. Everybody is. But said that, you know, when Rowland does come back, Frazier immediately becomes a very large factor in the left field position. You and I talked about that last night a little bit.
Well, it's nice to be versatile. Todd Frazier, drafted out of college as a shortstop. They've moved him around different positions. He's played outfield in the minor leagues before. He's played outfield here in the big leagues. He just wants to play.
You know, and you almost wonder, Chris, if indeed Rowland is activated, whether it be tomorrow or Friday, if they just don't all of a sudden, you know, make Drew Stubbs' situation a trip to the DL retroactive back to when he was injured, and that's moving on nearly, what, 9 days ago. Ludwig gone swinging. But Brandon Phillips, a little insurance with a 2-run big fly, and the Reds lead back to 3. Well, good night so far. End of 7. 5 runs, 7 hits for the Reds. 2 runs, 7 hits for the Indians. An outstanding job turned in tonight by Matt Latos. 7 innings of 7-hit, 2-run baseball. Walked only 1 batter. Struck out 7. And right now he'll hand it over to the bullpen, and that begins with left-hander Sean Marshall to face Kipnis, more than likely to go ahead and turn around Santana, as well as face Michael Brantley. Marshall had a rough weekend. Now, granted, it wasn't like he was out there and pitching for 2, 3, 4 innings over a 3-day span. But, of course, he was brought in twice over the weekend to retire Prince Fielder. And both times, Fielder had run-scoring base hits against him. Roller to the right side. And that's a quick out. Well, as we suspected, Marshall will just stay in there, and he'll turn Santana around, bat right-handed. Then he'll face a left-handed batting Brantley. You have a left-handed batter in Damon. Although they do have some guys off their bench they could use to pinch hit. They've got right-handed batters Cunningham, Duncan, and Lou Marson. And that's a misplay there by Frazier.
Hit hard, got on him in a hurry, kind of took a bad hop on him and came up, and that's kind of an odd ball right from the very beginning. You see the first hop that ball hit, it was very close to the line, then it went dead left on him. Well, as good as Todd Frazier's been at the plate, there's only one Scott Rowland around it defensively. And that is one way that you will tighten up your infield defense right away by putting Rowland at third.
Oh, and 1 to Brantley. And Phillips will come in and get the out just to his left. With Santana advancing on to second, there are 2 away. The Columbus Crew back in action this Saturday. They're on the road in New England to take on the Revolution from Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Dwight Burness and Duncan Auten have all the action Saturday 7:30 on the home of the Crew, Fox Sports Ohio. So now Damon with a runner at second and 2 out. We're in the 8th. And the Reds with a 3-run lead. Breaking ball away from Damon for ball 1. Beauty of a hook there.
Beauty of a slider there. Your turn.
Well, I don't think he's going to throw a fastball, so I don't think I'm going to say beauty of a fastball. Do you?
No.
Pretty nifty play right there.
Yeah.
Paul Noward behind the plate.
Probably played a little amateur baseball growing up in Louisville.
Very nice. He did throw him a fastball, try to get him to chase it.
Yeah, you can see Brian Hannigan behind the plate. Of course, you want that. That was perfectly thrown. Up, not so high that it didn't even look good, but just to change your eye level now. He wants it down this one.
Into foul territory over by the dugout, not a play, 2 rows deep. Good crowd tonight, nearly 28,000. For some schools, the end of this week, and it's pretty much finished. Most of them are out. Still a few left. Reds get back. Their next homestand will begin against the Minnesota Twins on the 22nd. They'll play Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, then night games against Milwaukee on the 25th and 26th, and the homestand finale on Wednesday the 27th. 12:35 game. Foul ball. And then it is a long road trip which will take us to the All-Star break. 4 against the Giants, 3 against the Dodgers, 4 against San Diego. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the Pirates, the Brewers, and the Cardinals have all made their trips out west already this season. Eighth pitch of the at-bat. Pulled foul, there'll be a ninth. In fact, one of the trips that the Cardinals made out west was only a 5-game trip through Los Angeles and San Diego. And that's a trip where in 5 days they lost 3 players to the disabled list, including Lance Berkman. Ninth pitch now. Marshall against Damon. Got him swinging, and that'll end the inning. Reds bat, bottom of the 8th with a 3-run lead. The Reds take on the Twins at Great American Ballpark. First 20,000 fans through the gates get an MLB Network drawstring backpack. Plus, thanks to Rawlings and the MLB Network, one lucky winner will win a special 24-karat gold-infused baseball. 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com for tickets. Our Nissan drive of the game, and a Reds last at bat in the 7th. 2-run home run by Brandon Phillips. Esmiel Rogers just acquired by the Indians. Makes his Cleveland debut as they bring him from the bullpen, and he's going over everything, working with Carlos Santana for the first time.
Six-year-old right-hander from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. He spent 4 years or parts thereof as a Colorado Rocky.
In the air, short right, and a second baseman Kipnis out to get it. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Like the Indians traded for him today in exchange for cash. This is after he was designated for assignment about 3 days ago. So when you get on that waiver list out there, it's essentially a beacon out to every other team in the major leagues that this guy's available. But the Indians needed an extra arm, and they think that they take a shot at this young man.
So Christopher Negron comes up to the plate. In fact, the Reds saw Ishmael Rogers with Colorado when they were here about a month ago. Gave up a couple of runs, walked a couple of batters, and a hit in an inning plus. Also got a couple of strikeouts. Negron went around, and that's strike 3. Well, we started to touch on the upcoming schedule for the Reds and what it looks like. And again, a reminder, tomorrow, tickets are available. 12:35 first pitch. Then play the Mets Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They split a 2-game series against them earlier this year at Citi Field. Should have won both games. Blew that huge lead. What, 9-4?
Yeah.
And then the 3-game series in Cleveland against these Indians next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'd like to remind you that Saturday night's game is on Fox. Baseball Night in America. The Reds and the Mets gets underway at 7 Eastern. And for many of you in the greater Cincinnati area, that means your local Fox affiliate is Channel 19. But wherever you're watching tonight, find that Fox affiliate. You'll find the Reds game Saturday night. The Mets have gone down to Tampa Bay, and they have given the Rays a drilling. Last night and tonight, beating them 9-0 in the 9th inning. That's saying something. R.A. Dickey has gone 8 innings of 1-hit baseball tonight.
Boy, is he just something else. Knuckleballer that is remarkably able to control that thing just enough to throw strikes, but also have it flutter around enough to become just about unhittable.
Talking about a guy that did not get his first multi-year contract till he was 36 years old. Got a 2-year deal prior to last season from the Mets.
Right now he has thrown 8 innings of 1 hit, no walk, 12 strikeout baseball.
Cool. Well, you know what the good news about that is, Chris? Today is Wednesday. The Reds are leaving Sunday. They will not see, as it stands right now, Dickey or Johan Santana. Doesn't mean anybody else can't beat him.
That's good news, though.
Yep.
I'll take my chances with the rest of the staff.
The way it stacks up right now, you get a look in no particular order at Dylan Gee.
Yep.
Jonathan Neese having a real nice year. He's a native Ohio kid. And then Chris Young, who just came all the way back after missing all of last year. Strike 3 called, and that'll end the 8th inning. So Rogers, a good Cleveland debut. Will it be a Aroldis Chapman in the ninth? Try to nail it down. The answer is yes. Children's Hospital. Ranked in the top 5 for all pediatric specialties in U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals, and by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado in your tri-state Chevy dealers. How about a little Miller time? Good night for Matt Latos.
Yeah, really good night for Latos. Had his breaking ball working early on. Then later on, he had that two-seam fastball working. And through strikes, got ahead of hitters. Really a lot of first pitch strikes for Latos. And guys pumped up. I think that, you know, following Johnny Cueto in the rotation like he does, and the way Cueto is pitched in front of him, puts a little bit of internal pressure on Latos. And he's responded to it very well. That's a pretty nice 1-2 punch the Reds have going if you get Latos throwing the ball the way he did tonight.
Well, now Aroldis Chapman comes on, having not allowed a single run to begin the season. Up until the Pirate series, just before the Tigers rolled into town, he gave up his first run of the year. And then his very next outing was on Sunday night when the Reds blew that 6-2 lead over the Tigers, and Chapman was hung with a blown save. Walked a batter, allowed a couple of hits and a couple of runs in an inning of work. Shelley Duncan to lead off, batting for the pitcher in their strike. Well, the Reds had a huge lead last night. They had the off day on Monday, so Dusty decided to give Chapman an extra day's rest. This one popped up in a short left, and Ludwig came a long way to get it. 1 out. Chris, the only question I would ask you after watching that game on television Sunday night, we know Chapman throws 100 miles an hour. He's hit 105, among the hardest throwers in the game. That we all know. Do you think as we move forward and deeper into this season, though, that it would make him an even more dominant closer to start mixing in a few other pitches besides just the fastball?
Of course. And he did that early in the year, and it seemed like he got away from that, you know, when he got into the closer's role. You know, when he was being used as a middle reliever, coming in, pitch maybe a couple of innings, he would use that slider from time to time. We've not seen him use his changeup very often, a little splitter that he's come up with, but he's got a good one. You know the old saying in just about any sport, if you don't use it, you lose it. And that goes with that slider, and I think that you need a 1-2 punch. It just goes to show you, even when you throw 100 miles an hour, eventually a major league hitter will catch up to it.
Because there has to be something to the fact that if you're a batter, I mean, it's hard to hit a Aroldis Chapman fastball. I'm not trying to in any way diminish that. But if in your mind, it's almost a virtual certainty, now there's something different, that he's throwing nothing but the fastball.
That was a splitter there. Well, just take the case of Jason Verlander. He can throw 101 miles an hour because we saw it. 4 pitches in a row he threw it when he needed it to Jay Bruce, but he's also throwing a curveball at 76 and a slider in the 80s. So he uses all of his weapons, and that's why he was the MVP of the league last year. Well, you know, there's something to be said for that.
Well, 3-2 to count now on Chisenhall. And that's just 97 gas down around the shin.
That ball out of the zone, but you don't have much time to make up your mind. Less than 1/5 of 1 second.
So now the crowd, 27,428 on its feet. Reds an out away from back-to-back wins over the Indians, with one more to go in this series. Jose Lopez flied out to right, his only time up. Latos would go to 5-2. Chapman trying to get save number 7. A ball and a strike. Looks like the Reds will gain more ground if they can nail this thing down on the Pirates, who are getting beaten up in the 9th inning in Baltimore. They're in the top of the 6th inning in St. Louis. Cardinals are up 1-0 over the White Sox. Chapman tries to nail their shot. And that ball is launched into left center field. It's now 3 games in a row. Chapman's given up a run.
And then again, that pitch came in at 100 miles an hour, which is to most guys above hitting speed. But after you see it time after time after time, there are some hitters around that can put a bat on it. A slider in the dirt that he misses and gets behind this hitter.
It's another $14,000 to support prostate cancer research. Love to have you donate if you can. Boy, the 3rd home run that Aroldis Chapman has ever given up. Luke Scott, Albert Pujols, and Jose Lopez. To an 0-1-2. And again, it's not to be critical, but that's why I brought it up, Chris, in the very beginning of this inning. There's a fastball in the air, and it'll be caught, and that's the old ball game. So Chapman does indeed get a save. That's his 7th of the year. He allows a run on the home run by Lopez. But Latos, a big story tonight. 7 outstanding innings following the complete game effort last night of Johnny Cueto.
Well, he was dominant. Latos was really from the very beginning of the ball game, where he struck out the first batter he faced on 5 pitches, a nasty slider. He had it working. Latos did. 8 strikeouts overall. Threw the ball ahead of the strike zone and ahead in the count all night long. And that's what you're talking about when you come to this ballpark. And if you're Matt Latos, you're going to take a deep breath and a sigh of relief, because guess what? He pitched a ball game in this ballpark and did not give up a home run. So good sign for the Reds. They go for the sweep tomorrow.
12:35 game tomorrow. Final tonight, Reds 5, Indians 3.